Hey, this is Jackie Hauser with Flexner Hauser Injury Law. We are back for another podcast. This time, got one of my favorite clients here to talk to you. This is going to be entertaining. I'm just telling you. This is Mr. Eddie Croom and his sister Judy, and we just completed their case last year. And so we're going to talk to you a little bit about that process and get some Eddie insights on this whole experience. Can't wait for the Eddie experience. Eddie, tell us, and your name is
Kenneth.
Eddie your middle name?
No, Edward.
Edward's your middle name.
Everybody
Kenneth
calls me Fast Eddie.
Fast Eddie. Okay. All right. But I can call you Eddie.
Please.
Okay. How did you come to select Flexner Hauser? Well, it wasn't Flexner Hauser Injury Law. Mr. Flexner was still here. Mm-hmm. He was still the full-time owner at that time. Right. How did you come to choose this law firm whenever you were injured?
The advertising on TV.
Okay.
And it just struck me good, and I picked up the phone call.
Yeah. And do you remember when you were injured? What the date was?
Almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember the date, but it was
a little bit longer than 3 years ago. I think it was like June of 2021.
Yeah.
And it took until almost the end of 2024 to get everything taken care of, right?
You have to be patient.
Have to be patient. So tell everybody, before you got injured, because you don't work anymore, right? You can't work.
No.
Okay. Before you got injured, what did you do for a living?
I was an electrician.
And how long were you an electrician?
Since I wired my first house when I was 10.
Get out. That's pretty amazing.
My Uncle Lewis. Yeah.
That's pretty
amazing.
amazing.
Babysitters.
Yeah. You talked about that in your deposition. You said whenever you were a little boy, y'all didn't have babysitters, did you?
No, we had to go to work with Uncle Lewis.
And Uncle Lewis was an electrician.
Yes, and he still lives down the street.
And
still bosses us around.
If Uncle Lewis had been a mortician, you'd be a mortician today, wouldn't you?
Probably.
So that is just so cool. So you went to work with your uncle and just learned how to be an electrician.
Right.
And that's what you did the rest of your career.
I took classes, and the poor teacher, he didn't know much of nothing.
Uh-huh.
Seriously, he copied the stuff out of the book on the board, and he had me try to wire a few things, and I said, you can't do it like that. It won't.
Right.
The metal will rust off the boat if you do.
So you were teaching the teacher how to be an electrician.
He didn't like me because I was a smart guy.
I can't imagine you being a smart guy.
No, it was another word.
It's a smart blank.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice. I've always been that. They say I talk with my mouth wide open.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what you do is you say what you think.
Without thinking.
Without thinking.
Without the filter.
This is my filter.
Well, she doesn't do a good job. She does a good job on so many things except being your filter.
She got that foot. She slows me down a lot.
Okay. Well, I don't see that happening. So is that how you got those bruises on your leg?
She kicked me the other day when my lawyer was aggravating me.
Yeah.
The other guy, he was talking about my daughter. And
you didn't like that, did you? Well, he had to ask you certain questions, and I know some questions are more sensitive than others. So
I answer most anything, but that's
Well, I know at that time you were wearing a brace on your knee, and I kind of wondered if it was because of Judy, or was it really because she kept kicking you?
Because I couldn't walk.
Okay, so
I still got 2 braces on my knees, but they're under my pants.
Yeah, and are they helping?
Yeah,
helping
the
your
copper
knees?
fits. The copper fit hurts this leg, but it's good on this one. But I got a different one for this knee, so it keeps the kneecap from going away when my leg gives out on me.
So you saw our ad on the television. Had you already been in your accident at that point?
Yeah.
The accident had happened. Mm-hmm. All right. Tell everybody about your accident. What happened that day?
Well, I was riding down 17th Street headed towards Castle Street, and when we crossed Dawson Street, a man run a stoplight, and he had already run 2 stoplights, coming to find out, and he run into the back of the van. The witness said it was knocked 8 foot in the air. It come down, ripped the toolboxes off the sides of the wall. It didn't hurt the van.
Right.
Except for on the inside. The stuff on the inside was just tore up, and me and the other guy too.
Right. So you were in a work van for your employer, and you were working as an electrician at that point.
Right.
And you were working you were an employee.
Right.
And you and your coworker were on your way to a job or the warehouse or somewhere.
To the supply house.
Okay. And you're in a work van that has all these shelves in the back.
Right.
And that's what you're talking was ripped off.
Yeah, just pull bolts right out of the wall and until all the stuff was in the floor.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you a question you've been asked 1,000 times. Were you hurt as a result of that accident?
Yes, ma'am.
What were your injuries?
I couldn't hardly walk from the time that the accident happened.
Right.
Until I got to the doctor.
Right.
And they really didn't do nothing and then I went to emergency ortho and they gave me surgery in my back.
Mm-hmm.
Of those fused those bones together in my back and shots after shots after shots.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't seem to be doing any good. Just time goes by and got a little bit better. I can walk now.
Right.
But I can't turn. I can't climb a ladder. I can't hold my arms up over my head.
Right.
Can't sleep. I lay on this side and it hurts. I lay on that side, it hurts. And just a miserable life.
Yeah. So whenever you came to us, they did let you go back to work and they put you on like light duty, right?
Yeah. I needed to go back to work because I had so much going on and the people depended on me that owned the houses.
Uh-huh.
And the contractor out there. And when I finished, got everything cleaned up, straightened up, it was at the time of the year when everything gets caught up and they start over again. And he just come in and quit the whole development.
Because you were working on he was building houses for development.
He was we wired the houses.
And you were wiring the houses.
All the houses at Compass Point.
Okay.
And he just, when I finished with all those people, I was doing the service work, the punch list, wiring the houses and trimming the houses out, me and another guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the other people had 4 or 5 people on crew.
Yeah. And so.
And he just quit. And we didn't have, and that way he could fire us.
Right. Mm.
Or get rid of us because he didn't need us no more. He was just going to do service work. And he's still just doing service work.
Right. Mm. So you had already been in the accident at this point, and you were just on light duty.
Mm-hmm. The other guy was usually he was doing the work.
He was doing the climbing the ladders, crawling under the houses.
Yeah. Well, it was slab houses, so we didn't have that.
Oh, they were slabs.
He was real tall, so it was easier for him.
Right.
He hurt his back a little bit, but it wasn't much.
Right.
But I took care of the cutting in the houses and stuff where I didn't have to bend over or get on my knees, or I just carry a stool over there and sit. And I put lights together and cut in the panel and just stuff where I didn't have to go nowhere or move much.
So even though you did all that you were supposed to do and the doctor said you could do light duty and you went back and you did light duty and you did what your employer told you to do, he still came in one day and just fired you.
Well, he just come in and fired me because nobody tells me what to do.
Right.
I took care of the whole whole place. He never even talked to the contractor. He never even talked to the builder. I did everything.
You were doing all that.
He just built them.
Right. So he just decided one day he just didn't need you anymore.
Well, you see, he wasn't making no money.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of hard to believe when 2 men are doing the job of 5.
Right.
And
you're doing light duty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So at that point, you're unemployed. And you're unemployable because you got this back injury.
Yeah, nobody hire me. I know everybody.
Yeah.
Every electrician in town.
Yeah.
I just can't hire you because you're a risk.
Right.
And I'm scared you're going to get hurt. So here I am. Everything I know, throw it out the window.
Yeah. And now the insurance company, that was the workers' comp side. Right. We'll talk about that insurance company first because you had lots of experience with insurance companies, probably more so than people will have in their entire lifetime. So the first insurance company we had to deal with was the workers' comp insurance.
Right.
And whenever you hired us, you worked with Cam. He's our workers' comp specialist. And that insurance company wanted to bring up all of your prior injuries.
Right.
Because you'd had a bad accident in the past. You'd had a prior workers' comp accident in the past. Do you remember all that?
Yeah.
And they tried to bring that up and say, well, these injuries you got now are the same as the injuries you had before. So we shouldn't be paying you for these injuries. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's typically one of those tricks that they do. They love to talk about your prior medical history. But if I remember correctly, the big difference between those prior injuries and the one that you suffered in this accident in June of 2021 is, in those injuries, even though they were bad and horrible, I mean, you had a horrible traffic accident,
Right.
but you went back to work.
Yeah. I always go back to
You
work.
got better and you went back to work. After this accident, you went back to work, but you could only do light duty. You couldn't do all the things that you could do before.
I couldn't even afford to go to the doctor. I couldn't pay my bills. I had to go on Social Security because I couldn't take early Social Security. And then after I got my Social Security, they gave me disability and messed up my daughter's stuff, and she almost couldn't get her medicine.
Yeah, and just to keep it chronologically, you did the disability after you finished up your workers' comp claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's one of the tricks that insurance companies try to play, and we kind of talk to you about it. Is they try to talk about all your medical history, and of course, the older you are, the longer your medical history. That makes sense, right?
And the less you heal.
And the slower you heal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that they did. And then the other thing that they do with workers' comp is they love to slow things down. Workers' comp I say it moves at glacial speed.
Yeah, they try to outweight you.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Get you broke and poor and you can't pay your bills.
Well, and then in the middle of that, they can fire you.
Yeah.
So now you're unemployed and you're unemployable.
Unemployable.
And now once you're unemployed and you're unemployable, then they want to come in here and talk to you about a settlement.
Yeah.
Well, you're desperate at that point, right?
I was, yeah.
You've worked through all your savings. Your daughter had to move in with you. You have two daughters, right?
Yeah.
And one of them's disabled,
Right.
who she lived with you, and you took care of her. And then the other one was grown and had children. And she had to actually move in and help you and your disabled daughter, right?
Right.
And a lot of that probably had to do with the fact that you couldn't even, at that point, you're unemployed. You don't have any income.
Mm-mm.
So you need the assistance from your daughter to move in and kind of help out with the bills, right?
That's it.
So I love the fact that you can just see that progression, and it happens over and over again with good people. They either go on light duty or they get fired, and then all of a sudden, workers' comp wants to settle. Let's settle now. Well, you're so desperate, you'll take anything. Or so they think.
Yeah.
Or so they think,
I was
right?
done with taking anything.
Right. But I think, and we're not going to talk dollars and cents, but at the end of the day, whenever you and Cam decided on the settlement with workers' comp, I think you were satisfied with that.
I was, but I really thought it should have been more, but I didn't have no choice.
Well, the problem with workers' comp, and it's a problem in that, and we've talked about it in a different podcast, is there's no pain and suffering with workers' comp.
Right.
It's just lost wages and medical bills. That's it. And workers' comp wasn't designed to be for pain and suffering. But the best thing you had going in your favor was you had a second claim
Right.
for that auto accident. And that's where I came in,
Right.
was to help with the auto accident. So the way that we handle it in our office, and we told you about this, we let workers' comp run its course. And you get all your treatment through workers' comp as long as they're doing what they're supposed to do. And then once you settle your workers' comp, we step in. So I think I started helping you about December 2023 on your auto case. And of course, we try to settle that without having to go to litigation and all those kind of things. And we couldn't. They didn't want to settle. They said you had been fairly compensated.
Yeah.
They said there's a phrase that we use in the law is that you have been made whole, but with dollars and cents. And they said workers' comp had made you whole.
No, it didn't work. I thought myself they didn't make me whole.
So now we're fighting a different insurance company because we're done with the workers' comp insurance company. Now we're fighting the auto insurance people, right? Mm-hmm. They're the ones who hired that nice lawyer that came and took your statement, and that was at the arbitration. They're the ones who hired him.
Mm-hmm. And then I had to pay the workers' comp back.
Yeah, we had to. You're getting ahead of me on that. So here's some tricks that the insurance companies that we're going to talk about. Some of the tricks the auto insurance company pulled on you.
Right.
One of your favorite tricks was the surveillance that they sent out to you.
Yeah.
Because we had said he can't work.
Right.
Right? He cannot work. He's got a back injury. He can't do what he could do before, what he's done for 50 years, 55.
55.
And so they send out surveillance. I'm telling you, you got to be careful. If it's a big case, insurance companies are going to do what they got to do to minimize your case. They will spend $2,000 on a PI to save $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000. So they send a PI out to your neighborhood. How fun was that?
That was kind of comical because it's called Croom Street. And he was down there about 15 minutes one day, and I think he got a picture, and he sent some other people down there with cameras on bicycles and kids on bicycles trying to get, and I got a picture of me weed eating my front yard with an electric weed eater. And I do a little bit and stop.
Right.
And then he was at the end of the road in a man's front yard, which was my uncle.
He parked in your uncle's front yard.
Yeah. And my uncle walked out there and asked him who he was. He says, I'm taking care of business. I can park here. This is common ground. He said, no, you can't. This is my yard. Parked in my grass. And he went back in the house and he called my daughter. My daughter's a Spitfire.
I can't imagine that, but go ahead.
She went down the street with a stick and beat on the man's car, beat on the man's window. Said, open this. Yeah.
Window.
Yeah. And
we might need to cut some of that out. I'm not sure we need to admit that. That's called property damage.
she didn't hurt the car, but she was beating on the man's window. And he said, I'm going to call the law. She says, I already have called the law.
There you go. There you
She
go.
says, I got a mentally handicapped sister, and we ain't having no pervert down here with cameras and watching my sister. I'm scared he's going to run. And my daughter knows about half the cops in town. So when they got there, she come up there and said, hey, man, how you doing? He hugged her neck, and she said, this man right here is a pervert. He's watching my house. And the man looked at him and said, the cop looked over at the man and said, but if I was you, I'd get off this street. He says, you in a bad place. He told the cop who he was and everything. I could do anything I wanted to. He said, well, all I'm going to tell you is we can follow you out here now, or you can stay here. But when you call us back, we're not coming to get you.
Well, just because the family was irritated.
Yeah, they were irritated.
Yes.
And we were going to park car in front of him, went back of him where he couldn't get out. We wasn't going to hurt him. We wasn't, no violence.
Just going to delay him a little bit. Yeah.
But he went away.
You know, you're fortunate that you have people like that in your neighborhood looking out for you. Because I'm telling you, I've got too many surveillance stories that don't end that way.
Oh, yeah.
Where they'll send out somebody, that person can sit there all day, charge them a couple $1,000 and ruin their life because, you know, you were using an electric weed eater that weighed 5 pounds. Yeah. But, you know, let's say that you weren't, or let's say that you decided that day something had to be moved from point A to point B and you were just tired of it not being moved and you moved it that day.
Yeah.
Then you went inside and had to lay in bed the rest of the day. And it's like I tell my clients, they're not going to get a video of you laying in bed, taking meds, having to stay in bed the rest of the day. They've only got the video of you moving stuff outside. So surveillance it's real. I'm glad you were attuned to it. Your neighbors and your family were attuned to it. It's just a snotty and way to collect evidence that really isn't evidence. But they only got to catch you one time, just one time.
And it's bad because even my back. If right now I'm starting to hurt sitting there.
Yeah, I know you don't like sitting very long.
And I walk all the time.
Yeah.
So we got you walking across the street.
You never said you couldn't walk.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can't pick nothing up and I can't climb a ladder. You can't do electrical work if you can't do that.
Yeah, you never said you couldn't climb. You couldn't walk. You never said you couldn't walk. You said sitting and climbing.
I can't fish, can't sit in the
boat. Can't bend over. Can't do that bend over stuff where it's putting strain on your back.
I run.
Right.
But they don't care.
Yeah. So we went through, once we got past that surveillance part, we finally got to arbitration. Now, a lot of folks don't hear about arbitrations because usually people think if you file a lawsuit, you're going to go to trial. But because of your situation and we were able to collect certain insurance and we had to collect, and there was different insurances, once we got to the underinsured coverage, we could demand arbitration, which is faster than a trial. You know, we had it right here in this very room. Right. It lasted about 2 hours. Judy was here. She watched most of it. I called her as a witness, but then, you did so good. I said, I let her go. I was like, I can't make it any better. So I was going to call her if I needed her, but you kept it all together and didn't curse or anything. So we didn't curse at anybody.
Yeah.
So we had a good day that day. And so, we filed our lawsuit in January. That went to October. We got your award in October. And I was pleased with that. You pleased with that?
I was pleased.
Yeah.
Finally got something out of it.
You told me today that as a result of that award, you've been able to buy a house.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That I've been paying rent on.
You've been living there for a while, and now you've just been able to buy it outright.
Right.
That's amazing. And you're set. You're set financially, and you're set with your house.
Right.
You still can't work.
No.
But you did go on disability, which is a good thing. So you're getting some disability payments.
No,
They converted that because now you're over 65.
Yeah.
That's right. They did start it out at disability and converted that to Social Security income. The good thing in all of this is that, and I use you as an example all the time, is that you were patient, number one. Because from January to October is only 10 months. But I'm telling you, there's just people that aren't that patient. But you were patient with the process, and you listened to your attorney.
You have to.
Yeah. And because of that, it's just like if you came in here to wire something in my building, would I stand there and tell you how to do it?
I hope not.
I'd be stupid.
You go to another room.
I don't know how to wire a room.
Yeah.
That's why I hire somebody to do it.
That's right.
And that's why you hire a professional. I don't know how to build a deck, so don't send me to Lowe's to buy the wood to build a deck. I don't know what to buy. But I use you as an example all the time in that you were patient and you listened. And because of that, look at all the good things that came out of that. You got do I think you could ever be compensated for your injuries? Could money ever, fix it? No. Mm-mm. But do I think you were compensated fairly and that you are now in a good position to take care of your daughter and to take care of yourself? I think you are.
I am. I'm a whole lot better than I was, boy.
I was so pleased.
All of this part, the stress part of it, gone off of me because I just didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah. And I know Judy was here. She was such a big part of this because she certainly, she came to your deposition. She came to the arbitration. She's been a part of this process, and I know you've leaned on her.
She took care of my paperwork.
Yeah, she did.
Right.
She absolutely did. Judy, what did you see during this whole process of workers' comp and of the workers' comp claim and the arbitration, the litigation part? What did you see during that process that either concerned you or, things that just, from the outside looking in that you were concerned about?
I was more concerned about the attorney trying to take advantage of Eddie.
You're talking about the other attorney?
The other attorney.
Okay.
Take advantage of Eddie. And I had told him several times, if Jackie tells you to do something, you need to do what she tells you.
Why didn't you listen to her?
I didn't shake his hand that hard.
But, when my sister and I were with my mother when she passed away,
mm-hmm.
and the last thing we told her was that we would take care of Eddie if she was tired.
You have told me that several times, and it always brings a tear to my eye. I'm telling you, that's special. That's a promise you made. That's a deathbed promise.
It is.
That's an important promise.
And, I'm fortunate enough that my husband allows me
mm-hmm.
to go to Eddie when he needs me,
mm-hmm.
whenever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever time of day or night or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't, I take time off from work and go help him when I need to.
Yeah.
So,
well, I've seen you a couple times since our settlement. You've popped by the office a time or two. One time you brought me something that you said I needed. You said you need this. It was a Wi-Fi extender. You said you need this in that conference room up there. So, I appreciate that, but I'm telling you, I think you've just got. I think all the stress is gone, and honestly, you have just a different disposition, doesn't he?
Oh yeah,
doesn't he have just a different disposition about all of this now?
He does.
Smile.
Yeah,
That's smiled a long time.
Yeah, well. You still cantankerous and stubborn, but
that's the Croom in him. He can't help that.
Yeah, but I think you have a total different disposition in your face. I think a lot of the stress is gone, and now that you got security.
Right.
That's the key to it, is you got security now. And that's what I appreciate.
Not just for him,
Yes.
but for Heather Ann as well.
Yes, your daughter. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Amanda's a big girl. She can take care of herself. Mm-hmm. But Heather Ann,
Yeah. But if Amanda needs help,
yes, it's
as a
there.
daddy, you can step in.
She
Exactly.
ain't going nowhere yet.
Yeah. As a daddy, you can step in. That makes a difference whenever, as a parent, you can step in and help your children. Mm-hmm. That's just what you feel like sometimes you have to do. And I am so glad that you're in a position you can do that. You've got your own personal security, and you can look after your girls as well if you need to.
It's just nice that I had somebody to have my back this time.
Well, I appreciate that.
Many times I've been messed up,
Wow.
broke up, and nobody was there.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I'm telling you, we love you. You're a treat. You and Judy both, you're a treat whenever we see you drive up. And I'm so glad y'all came in and decided to talk to us today. So, all right. Well, thank y'all so much for coming in.
I enjoyed it.
Anything else you
want
want to say before I do a closing?
Thank you so much for all you did for me.
Well, that's sweet.
When you started taking over, I said, "Who's Jackie?" Because V always talked about Jackie. Mm-hmm. And then one day you were here.
Yeah.
I said, And after I talked to you, I didn't worry no more.
Awesome. I like that.
I appreciate you taking care of my brother, too.
Well, I appreciate you helping me take care of your brother. I could not have done it without you, for sure.
That's why I brought her. I don't listen to many people.
When he won't listen to Amanda, she calls me, and she threatens him. I'm going to call Aunt Judy.
Uh-huh.
It used to be I'm going to call Meemaw, but I'm going to call Aunt Judy.
Okay. She's
I'm really not that mean.
Well, that's going to have to be another episode. All right. I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and meeting Eddie. I just love him. I love Judy. They're salt of the earth. They're just two good people that I've enjoyed working with. And we thank you for tuning in to Laughter in the Law, where we talk about the law with a lighthearted twist.